Okay, we're back. Like we talked about in the last video, we finished that can of crystal and that little holdout collaborator quest and the wave crest in, and we're going to go pivot over to the Keep on the Borderlands with a particular goal in mind. What we want to focus on is getting the free mount, which means killing a number of named rares throughout the zone. There's like 15 altogether. We're just going to go burn through really quickly all the 14 ones that are there. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're not, so you may sometimes need to do this run 2 or 3 times. I'll try to walk you through every single one of them until we get it all, and then you can hand that into an NPC that's here in the town at the stable and pick a free mount. Now, once you've done this once on your character, it is available for all your characters on your account. So, especially when you're in a guild. So let's go ahead and not pick up all of these quests here. You know, there's nothing wrong with picking them all up. You could do that if you want to, but instead I want to kind of give you an overview of, okay, what's the deal here? What are we going to do? So let's get out of this and let me pull this map up. This map is available at the DDO Wiki website. If you ever want to find out anything about the game, a quest or walkthrough or detail that someone in a video hasn't covered properly, the DDO Wiki is really good. It gives you all the information you need to see. In the DDO Wiki, if you look up the Borderlands section, you'll find this user community created map. In essence, we're inside the keep here. This is where the quest area is, and this is the gate that we're going to go out of. There are named NPCs. You can see here in orange, and here's all the caves. That's the infamous, keep on the Borderlands humanoid caves. Excuse me. And then these are all the named NPCs that have a chance to drop this feather that you need to get them out. Now, you can do this as many times as you want. The feathers don't really count towards anything else except for these mounts. So what I like to do is go this way. There's like a scarecrow. There's a holdout mission at a beehive and an old house here. I usually run down through here and try to get to this harpy. This is like a little goblin guy. There's a little buff fountain here. Here's another little goblin like undead guy. We got this little limit. This is actually a dancing satyr, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's another little undead goblin guy here. These are shrines and resurrection shrines, little moon and the little star. There's like an ogre guy here. There's a little, shrimp crawdad here. There's a long talon guy here. Then we got King Beak, a big eagle, and there's a big spider down here named Tree Walker, like oh gosh, what they call him, a Widowmaker spider. And then lastly, there's a little named knoll here. There is also a mud guy named Lerp. There's this grublub, which it's a fiendish altar that requires some crest that you have to pick up, and you can put all 3 crest in the altar and summon him, but it takes too much time. What's easier, in my opinion, is just keep running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a lizardman here I forgot to mention. 11, 12, 13, 14 of these enemies. They're all named. They're not like more difficult or anything else. The only thing about the Keep of the Borderlands is an outdoor zone. Once you get them out, you can just continually run this over and over. There's another couple of things about the Keep of the Borderlands. Let me switch back to in-game. That is really important and why I'm pivoting to this first. I'm just alt entering there just so you know. And if you ever do, you make sure your scroll goes down and your mini map comes up. There are a number of fixed loot items in these elite/heroic named mobs that you're definitely going to want. One of them is a Featherfall cloak. For example, once you have that cloak equipped, it's kind of like the Quillmane cloak from the Wizard Quest and EverQuest 1 for the Epic, where you permanently have Featherfall. You will take falling damage in dungeons where you jump from an upper level to a lower level. And even in this zone, when you're jumping down to some of these caves, you might take falling damage. That cloak is so useful because it's automatically giving you Featherfall forever, and you'll have air control, so you can steer around and things like that. So we're going to go kill all those different guys. There's also a fantastic Glory's Guard shield that drops very frequently. That's a really great shield. Even my level 8 fighter is still using it. The cloak is called, I believe, the Mantle of Gentle Descent or something like that. And I've even had 15% run speed boots drop in here. In addition to that, there is an NPC over here, is a weaponsmith. By killing those elites, you're going to pick up these ingots, right? There'll be like a silver one, an ethereal one, and an arcane one, and he will have items for sale. This is a standard interface in the game where if you have one of each of these, you can get this item here, and there's all these magic items you can get. Most of them are just +1 enhancement things, but they have secondary effects on them. And then there's 5 pages of these. So you'll see there's silver ones as well, which is great against undead and things that can't be hit by normal weapons. And they're all, in essence, a +1 enhancement weapon. So if you haven't gotten a good drop yet, and like I'd really like to get a +1 longbow, we can work on that at the same time that we're working towards the feathers that you need to get them out, and also hoping to get good rare drops. If the tendency for a lot of people is to run in here and just pick up every single quest, let's just grab this one first, which I believe is the Slayer quest. Let's do this one. And then we're going to head out into the zone and go burn through this stuff. We're doing it on foot, and we're definitely going to get we're level 2 now. Let's go back. Let me show you how to get back and grab and see if we can get a level 2 hireling. We don't need it. Let's do it with level 1. We'll be okay. The one thing that's different about the Keep of the Borderlands outside zone you need to be careful with is, unlike some of the dungeons where it's very straightforward and very easy, now you can get swarmed, and there'll be a lot more. We're actually going to pull a cleric out for this one. There'll be a lot more, like a group of 6 or 7 goblin riders, or a bunch of these tree ant type people will be shooting thorns at you and chasing you. The exterior zone is quite large. When you haven't been anywhere, it's not really discovered. That's the altar I mentioned earlier. But after we come out the front gate here, we want to head up this way. And remember, we're outside, so now that we're using a ranged weapon, we're going to be able to hit stuff really far away. And the spawn spots are the same, and you can reset the zone kind of like you would do in World of Warcraft to run it all again. So, all these rare NPCs that we're looking for aren't always going to be available. Unlike another standard MMO, killing mobs doesn't give you a lot of experience. You're better off just completing quests and killing uniques and rares, but mostly just doing quests. So let's see what we got here. Let's get the map back up. And we first want to go to a scarecrow that's over in this area here. We can get rid of these wolves. And I'm going to turn the music off because the little combat music drives me batty. It sounds like a Star Wars soundtrack. So we'll get rid of that. There we go. And the aggro radius can be pretty large too on some of these enemies in the world. So you see these wolf riders over here. They've already got right here, so they're gonna be alerted and see you. So he's playing an animation. He's like, there, now they go. So that's pretty far away. If you've got an NPC with you, you can just keep backing away, and your NPC would probably aggro them, especially if you're playing a fire, let them kill them. All right. So this is where what you can do. The scarecrow's not up. So if he was up, you would see there's a chest with a particle effect here. That's how one time what you can do when you're running through the area and trying to avoid some of the enemies until you get higher level, you can just take a quick peek and see whether they're up or not. So we're going to get rid of these guys here real quick because we're going to head up this hill next. You don't have to worry about squirrels. These guys are kind of a pain. They'll shoot projectiles at you, and they'll chase you forever. Like, you'll have a big train of enemies chase you across the map if you're not paying attention. So if you head over this way and kind of cut over to the east, you'll see there's this little fern at the top of the tree line here, this ridge line. That's where you can turn to go back. If you try to go up this way before, you're going to run into geometry to make it harder for you to get up. So if you come all the way down to about here, this little tree, this little bush is, then you can swing around the edge here. And be sure to do a crazy Ivan every now and then and check behind you to see if anything's chasing you. And what we're heading towards is this first little village house with all the beehives and stuff. When you come through here, you'll see all this grass. Once you get to the stone texture, which you can't see as good right now because it's like a early twilight evening kind of a day, then you'll get to this area here. Now, he isn't up either. So like rare mobs in EverQuest, things aren't always up. You could reset the zone and run it again. Normally there would be a beehive keeper here, and his wife is like a cougar lion. So you discovered the area, but there's no elite up. That's a Slayer quest. That's something they do throughout the game where you kill X number of mobs, and it gives you a counter. You can see up here, I've killed 10 of 25. When you get to 25, you get another bonus, another bonus. Don't worry about focusing on that. You'll get that done as you're trying to farm the feathers you need for the mount. take one of my potions we go down here. Later on, once you get the Featherfall Cloak, you can just on your mount, you can just jump and glide all the way down to down here. Now this is the main valley where all the different caverns are. You can see on your map here, even though you haven't been here. Here's the entrances to all the Bugbear Caves, Kobold Caves, the Treasury, Shun Cavern, Temple of Evil Chaos, and this one over here is Null Caves. Those are all really fun to do, but we want to focus on getting some better stuff first before we start doing all that. Since you don't have the Featherfall yet, you don't want to just jump down here and break your leg. You want to just kind of pop down here a little bit at a time. Let's go down here. And then we can get down to here. So now we're going to run all the way to the east wall of the whole zone, which you can't see yet because I haven't opened it up. There's a few kobolds along the way we'll have to kill. Not that big of a deal. And jogging on foot initially is kind of a pain, but once you get the mount, you'll be like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. The mounts in the game are usable in outdoor spaces and in all city hubs. A lot of the city hubs are quite large, so you can be mounted, go into an inn, and then when you leave the inn, you'll automatically jump on your mount again. Okay, so there's a tower up here. When you head down here, there's a little river. You can either jump between the two and jump down here. I like to go across the little river here and go to this side. And we're heading towards like a named harpy's nest. And just check and make sure nothing's aggroed you. There's a big bear here. And you'll be able to tell from a distance. Okay, that's the NPC. My NPC is aggroing these, fighting these crabs. Okay, you'll be able to tell pretty quickly if the mob is up when you get to this hill over here. You can just take a quick peek, and like I said earlier, if you see the chest and is up, then you'll know they're going to be up too. So in this case, they're not up. This is one thing you got to watch out for. You can train stuff all over the whole zone. So when you see plains wolves and no chest, then the named mob isn't up. If they were up, they would have been up right here. Okay, and we'll do another run and show that to you too. Then you want to turn around. You're now actually along the easternmost wall of the zone. And you're going to head down this. There's like 4 more enemies that you can possibly get to here. I'm going to grab one of these potions and top off. You can slide down the hill like a warhammer and not take any damage. The next area you're going to look for, there's a grave, an unmarked grave on the other side of this next hill. And the Dungeon Master will actually, alert you to it. And you can peek at it from above and tell whether the mob is up or not. Okay, they're not up. They are up. Okay, so this is something that's going to come out of the ground and attack you. When you see a chest, like I mentioned before, the particle effects, you know this is going to be active. So they'll pop. So this, and if you really are shy, you could just let your NPC hireling deal with it while you start shooting and killing the guy. But they're not hard to kill. I mean, one shot of this guy. Okay, great. Let's hope we got a feather in this first one. Didn't get a feather, but this is one of the, this is a great rogue item. What we got here? Nullification, equipment bonus, resistance versus enchantments. That's okay. We're going to loot all that. Be sure to check and see if you even have anything at all. Let's put this behind here. We don't even have anything on, so spot's really handy. So let's just go ahead and use this right here. This necklace versus what we have. Resistance bonus to save versus enchantments. Nullification equivalent with negative energy, poison, spell power. I'm gonna leave my will save thing on right now, and we're not gonna worry about that. Okay, that's one of them, but it didn't have a feather in it. Now you need 15 feathers all together. Most people don't ever get it all in one run. As you can see, like 3 or 4 of the enemies, the name guys aren't even up yet. So when they're not up, you're not going to be able to get the item. So the next guy, this will happen to you all the time. You're trying to get through the zone. All these low-level scrub mobs keep hassling you. As you're going along the zone here, you want to kind of start heading up this side. This is an altar up ahead, like a fountain. That'll give you either a buff or maybe a debuff. It's always worth grabbing anyway. It's usually like an hour buff. So let's see what we get for this one. Earth Affinity. This just pop this buff up here. You deal additional earth damage, receive 20% less acid damage. These guys usually will use range. So, you know, you're running through the zone and, you know, you could try sneaking by. It just takes too long. You might as well just kill them if you want to. The enemies are not difficult at all. But it's worth doing this because once you get the mount and you get the Featherfall Cloak, when you go to the Korthos Island and start doing those quests over that large zone and coming back here and doing all the different, you know, caverns and stuff in the Keep of the Borderlands, and when you go to the other zones in the game, you're going to be like, wow, it's so convenient to have the mount and have the Featherfall. You don't need to worry about, you know, taking falling damage. You'll get a couple better pieces of gear. You're going to get the ingots you need to get the, to have a, you know, bonus weapon crafted. You'll have a silver weapon. So it's a good way to get your character kind of bolstered up a little bit here with a lot of convenient items. First time I played the game, I didn't even know about this. I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. You gotta do this early on, as opposed to just going straight to Korthos Island and run around on foot all day. When you see this little pier dock area, the next possible NPC is going to be, or named, is going to be over the next hill. Taking on one of these cheap potions to keep topped off. There's one here. So I'm drinking potions. You know, I've got a cleric with me. All I need to do is target myself and hit her heal, and she'll cast the heal on me, which is going to be better. Notice how this put her party frame here. See, she's her casting points. Even she's gotten damage. Let's have her heal herself. There we go. So she's using, you know, spell points, which is kind of basically like mana. And it gets completely recharged if you use a shrine. So this is the Lemmy dude. I don't know what he's supposed to be. You're getting bonus experience for killing the named guys. Let's see what we get in this chest. Hope we get a feather. Oh, no, we didn't get a feather. What we got here? This is a good pair of rogue gloves. There's another piece of insulated armor. It's still just +4 and +9. And we got an arcane ingot, and so we're just going to loot all this. Let's see if we even have any gloves on. We don't even have gloves on, so let's just throw those on. Even though they're not really going to benefit us too much because we're not a rogue. Here's a shrine if you're playing a caster and you burn through a bunch of spells and you weren't just using a light crossbow like a melee person. You could sit here and get your spell points back. And once you've done this once on a VIP account, you don't have to do this again. I believe that may be associated with being in a guild. Let me just double check that. I don't know for a fact. Yeah, here it is. So I already have these mounts I farmed before. I could equip them now and start using them, but I want you to show you how to do it on foot so you have a sense of what to avoid, how much of a hassle it is. Usually there would be a name guy up here, and when you come up here, all these crabs annoyingly will attack you. But sometimes you'll see there's a sparkle bit up here. See a little bit of sparkles right here? This is like an adventurer's pack that's always up there that sometimes has something of use to you. If you saw the chest, then there would be a named guy standing like right here. Let's see what's in this. Okay, this is something we need to talk about. These amber vials, these other items. You'll see a lot of like strange, kind of like collectible items in the game that come out of like piles of dirt or corpses on the ground and things like that. You're like, what do I do with this? And you'll mouse over it and say, oh, this NPC in the harbor uses this, or this NPC in the marketplace wants this. A lot of those are like, trade these in and get something else. So then you're going to kind of turn back to the west, and we're going to go over to this little like peninsula mud pit where things get kind of loud with all this swamp noises. And there's a chest. So there is going to be a named guy named Shrimpy here. We can see Long Talon, who's another named guy, is way over there. So that's the guy we can go grab real quick. And this guy's going to spawn when you get close to it. And he's like this little crayfish dude. Okay, great. Let's see if we get a feather. We haven't got a feather yet. There's one. So you need 15 of these. These are like account bound, so you can like farm 15 of them and give them to an alt. But remember, once you've gotten a horse, you don't need to do this again. This is the same, this is the same piece of loot that we got before. What's this one? Concentration and spot. That would be useful for a spellcaster. The +3 spot's better for us right now. So, and even a little bit of money here. And be sure you scroll down and check as well. So we got another ingot. There's throwing hammers if you're a strength class for a ranged weapon. Let's go get what we got from the sharp talon guy across the river here. There should be a chest over here from him too that we killed him. You've heard me mention, there's another feather, great. You've heard me mention these types of items. Let's just take them all and check it out in the inventory. Like we mentioned earlier, we got this unholy battle axe. Be sure to read these. It says unholy one, only used by the wicked to smite pure, blah, 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 blah. Does evil damage. This effect makes up an evil aligned. It's the same kind of thing when you see these ones with this red background. They're called anarchic, like anarchy. This effect makes the weapon chaotic aligned. You can hit C on your character sheet and see that we're a chaotic good character. But this is a heavy mace. I don't really want to use this, but it's a one-handed weapon. So if you were playing like a fighter or a paladin or something, you want to use a +1 weapon that you don't have right now, because we just have this little crappy rapier. But if you're playing a different class and you can use maces, that's a decent little weapon. Sometimes they'll have in a bonus at the very bottom, you see monstrous humanoid bane. They'll do additional 1d10 bane damage against monstrous humanoids. So that's a nice little item. You could equip that right now if you wanted to as a ranger. I'm just going to stay with the threat range of the rapier, which I really like. The next thing we want to do is we want to head over to this ramshackle burned out building where there's a potentially named lizard man. You get rid of these guys. You can see these guys aggro from far away. If you're melee, you're going to run all the way over there. It's kind of a pain, especially when some of them are ranged and they're shooting you with thorns and you're like running over and jogging over. If you're going to play a melee class, I strongly recommend you start with sword and shield first, and then maybe we can try sneaking up here and see if he's up. I don't see him up. Let me show you where he would be if he was up. There is a campfire. There's a little campfire pot right here. That's where he would be. And by the time he sees you, he would come running over here and jump on this dock. You end up fighting him here. Just be careful not to get stuck underneath the dock. If you fought him and got him and opened the chest would be here. Once you're done with that, you should head over this way, which is basically, let's open our map back up again. We want to head back over to the west some more. If you've gotten damaged a lot and need to rest, don't have a cleric NPC with you, that's here's your shrine for you. So you want to try to head towards this large willow tree. The reason for that is we're ultimately going to go to this little mound of dirt over here, but discovering points of interest in DDO lines, part of the fun. Sometimes you get experience for these things. There is like, a little campsite over here where someone was having a picnic. And so look for the big willow tree. You'll see a little boat here. And we're ultimately going to head over here and check for the name guy. And picnic on this island came to an unexpected end. Okay, I don't see a chest up here. And if you're really into, how you're doing combat-wise, you can always turn your combat log on here, and you can see how much you're hitting for. You can drag this over here if you want to see more details. All right, now what we want to do next, we're at he would have spawned here, like the mud guy, and you would have fought him here. You would have had chest here. We want to head up here to the eagle that's next. So obviously running through water makes you move slower. It's a game industry technical detail. If you're not an animator, you may not make any sense to you, but I'll explain it to you. When you have character models in video games, they have a skeleton, right? They call it a skeletal mesh, where inside the character, like in the middle of the body, around the hip, there's joints and there's the thigh joints. It's like a rector set frame. It's called a rig, right? And that's how animators animate characters: bones, figure on fingers, wrist. It depends how many joints and bones. And when they rig human characters and the animator is going to animate the character, they can rotate all the joints and move things and catch a frame. And that's how the animations are done when it's called keyframe animation. Now, why would he mention that? When there's collision on enemies in the game, a lot of times there's a root bone or a center point of all the collision, and that's where the check is for whether you can hit something or not. So in situations where you're trying to shoot and the enemy is like half under a cliff, that's why you can't hit them sometimes, is because they're partially obscured. So we're going to try to head up here. Let's go up this way and get rid of this. And just a little bit further up here. All right, you see these fire beetles? There's like a little nest up here. The next rare spawn is right around the corner here, which is a named eagle. I don't see the chest. We've got a really bad luck on this run where not much has been up. There would be an eagle, a rare eagle standing right here. The next one would be a spider down the spider valley, but we're gonna probably backtrack and do the knoll first, or we just do the spider. We're already here. Once you got the featherfall cloak, you could just featherfall down here on your if you've already got the mount. But you can jump to here first and take a peek. So there's the spider. There, it's actually up. So we definitely want to go down here and kill it because it'll have a chest. See him right here. So let's go ahead and jump down to here. Slide off that wall to not take any damage. The spiders in the back sometimes will come swarm you, and he's not going to be active till we get close. Simple enough. And so it's really worth doing these like right away. Do we didn't get a feather? What's this here? This is a +1 intelligence item. I don't think we're wearing anything on our head, are we at all? Might as well just throw it on. Never know. I feel sure our intelligence being boosted isn't very much. Isn't going to make much of a difference. The only problem with jumping down here first is there's one more named enemy, which is going to be off this way to the west, but we're going to have to run through this area to get to it. You could recall if you wanted to.
In this dark and isolated gorge.
But we're just going to run to it anyway. In many ways, I feel like when Turbine, the original developers of DDO Online, which was called MEO in the very beginning, one of the level designers that worked on that game worked with me years ago on a game for the Sahara film, actually. Jason Booth was one of the artists over there. I'd met him when we were playing Ashran's Call 1, and then when they made Ashran's Call 2, I remember going to E3 in Atlanta years and years ago and checking out their demo and everything. It was really, really cool. That was a fantastic game. But in the beginning, Turbine made this after making Ashran's Call 1, Ashran's Call 2, and they also made Lord of the Rings Online. And you can almost tell that like Lord of the Rings Online was made a little later, or maybe had a little bit better tech than the DDO Online, but the style of gameplay that you get in DDO is just so immersive. If you're really a D&D fan or D&D player, you're going to really enjoy that so much more. Lord of the Rings Online is massively huge. I mean, you could spend like 17 years playing that, all the content you have everywhere. We're looking for a knoll camp. It's one of the ones I used to skip all the time. If you bear with me a minute, I'll see if I can find it. I can't remember if it's on the other side. I think it's on the other side of this valley. Let's go and see if we can find it. There is a little named knoll in a camp that's up in rocks like that one.
Even though the owners have long subscribed to the safety of the keep.
Now we're getting experience for killing. We killed 100 enemies already, right? Here's one of these little buff fountains. That benefits us a little bit. Here it is. Okay. I usually skip this one, but here's another camp where there'd be a named enemy. Usually there's a few knolls in here.
Monsters built a small camp atop this hill, giving them a commanding view of the valley below.
Nothing beats standing around waiting for someone to show up, huh? Okay. And they would be back here, and there's nobody up here. So that's been kind of a bummer run. We didn't get very much. So we got every... You can just see here on the mini-map what we did, and you can compare that. We got a deed completed. So we started, you know, way up here at the keep, and this is just like all around the edges little run that we did to go do everything. You want to do that multiple times, and want you to try to collect 15 of these, right? These little qual feather tokens. Let's move this down here. Let's go on to this here. And once you had 15 of these, you go hand them in. So I'm just going to recall back to the keep and show you where you would do that. And then we'll stop the video here, and I'll show you what the advantage of having the mount is on a different character. I won't stop the video. I'll show it on another character. So you would come to this NPC here and say, okay, tell me about this wondrous mount. He's going to talk to you. All right, let's trade. You, like you saw before, you're handing things in. You can see you need 15 of these. You could pick a different horse. There's all these different color horses that you could pick from. At higher levels, you can get this a faster one, which is 100% speed, but you need to be much higher level and run this at a much higher difficulty level. We've got a bunch of loot. Let's go sell that too. And let's go see, do we have enough of these ingots to get maybe like a silver bow or something cool like that. So let's check and see. We're level 20, not, you know, level 2, not 20. Let's see what we got here. And we want to go to the silver weapon page. And what do we have? Melee, melee, melee. There's a rapier. Mine's got an enhancement bonus of 1. I'm going to see. Do we want the rapier? Do we have enough currency for this? Let's see what we have. We have a bronze. We have a silver. And we have 2 ethereals. This other stuff is junk. So we could get a rapier, but I really want a longbow. Let's see. Do you have a longbow in here for purchase? There's a quarterstaff. Let's go to the next page. Throwing axe, throwing daggers, heavy crossbow. We could use a heavy crossbow, but I want to stick with a bow for now. There's a longbow right there. So there's a sworn silver longbow. This one here. And this another one. It's the same exact thing. We'll take this one. And let's select that. So now we have this bow. I'm going to equip it here. It did not automatically update my hotbar. I'm going to put this here. Let's take this out and kill it. We'll put this here, and we'll drag this down here. And we might as well just see if we have enough to get a silver rapier as well. Let's see what we got here. Can we get a silver rapier? Morningstar hand axe, mace, comma, second page. Kukri, mace, rapier. Let's see if we have enough. We use silver. Do we have any silvers left? I think we used it up already. Nope, we don't have enough. You don't have enough ingredients. You can look on the 3rd page and the 4th page and see what else there is. So there's ethereal stuff as well. What it does, it allows you to kill enemies that are incorporeal. And that's like later on in the game you fight like a white. They're really hard to hit. That's really a pain in the butt. So we might as well see if we can pick up one of those because we have 2. We can get a bow and a rapier. So let's get the rapier first. And let's talk to him again and see what else he has and get us a bow. And it was on like the 3rd page, I believe. Maybe it'll be on the 4th page. This is silver. Ethereal, ethereal, ethereal. I think it's the next page. And where are bows? It seems like the throwing weapons and the dart, quarterstaff are going to be probably on the last page, aren't they? Throwing weapons, crossbows, heavy, light, repeating, short bows and long bows. Now, did we pick the short bow by accident? Yeah, we did. That's okay, though. We'll take the ethereal longbow instead. It is also +1. It has ghost touch, so I'm going to make that my main bow. So I'm going to take that and put this here. Drag this down here. So we bought a short bow by accident, but whatever. We also bought the rapier, and so let's take this rapier and put this here and change this out. This is now going to be a dual wield setup, right? Because remember we got dual wield for on purpose by being a ranger, so we can now dual wield. Yippee! Now remember, when you're dual wielding, your bonus to hit isn't as good. So if we were to take the offhand item and put this in the main hand, our bonus to hit's +9. So one thing you might want to do is like, okay, listen, let me set up a dual wield setup and then put this down here. And let's do just a single weapon setup. Let's put this here. And we have a dual wield, single wield. Turn it this way you can see. So we have dual wield, single wield, of the ethereal rapier, dual wield, and ethereal bow. Sound good? Okay, great. Let me show you the benefits of the mount and the cloak. I'll pull my rogue into here, okay? A little low-level rogue I have, and I'll sell stuff offline. I'm going to switch to the rogue so you can see how much of a more convenient it is to make these runs with a character that has the mount and the featherfall cloak. So let's just pick her. This is a low-level rogue I've been messing around with the background for fun. And she's out here already. She's in Korthos. So let's take her over here. A lot of times when you first load your character up, you'll find that this is like a little bit of a hitch while your UI is loading, no matter how good your computer is. So we're going to head over here to this keep on the Borderlands. And we don't even need a mount. We'll be able to... I mean, not mount. We don't need the hireling to do this with her. All right, so we're going to go out here. Actually, let's do this. Let's go out to here, and we'll leave it on this level, and we'll put... we'll bring an NPC with us. Unless we've frozen and crashed, which looks like just happened.